Hooday to all our fellow Bengals fans. Welcome back to a new episode of Gridiron Jungle. Second victory Monday of the season and all of 2 weeks. We're back with your two favorite Bengal fans. My name is Rich here with my brother Philly Phil. Phil,
Yes,
2-0,
sir.
home opener in the book. How you feeling today?
I'm feeling great, man. It was a beautiful Sunday, despite the we'll call it rain that seems to have put a damper on the city. But I'm looking through it, and I'm really happy to start 2-0, give ourselves a little cushion. And I really like what this team showed, and I'm excited to talk about it for sure.
Yeah, 31-27 victory against the Jacksonville Jaguars. As I mentioned, the home opener. Phil mentioned the rain, which is, of course, everybody knows it by now, the injury of Joe Burrow. A lot of speculation on what was going on. The initial reports were an ankle. Then you find out it is the leg or the toe, and that toe requires surgery, which will require him to be out for 3 months for the second week in a row in a game that we really had no business winning. And to your point, Phil, about
Yeah.
just seeing what this team showed, they found a way to win.
Hmm.
I've said this last week, I believe, and I'm going to say it again this week. All last season, if you listen to us record, I talked about how winning close games is a skill. And
Hmm.
you got to have something in your team. That's a character thing. That's just something you can't just turn on and off. You have to be built like that. And the guys in that locker room seem to be built like that. On top of us just getting some, I'm not even going to say lucky breaks because last year we didn't win those games, but there were moments where that were head scratching.
Hmm.
Um, there's still a lot of things that we do in spite of ourselves, and I'm sure we'll talk about that this episode. But the fact that we can go out there and win a game like that, that's telling. Now, you can't win games like that against playoff contenders. I want to be clear about that. So we've done it against the Browns, we've done it against the Jags, who I think the Jags are actually not bad.
They're
I
not.
wouldn't be surprised if they get a wild card spot, but they're not like the NFL elite. They're not the Ravens. The I only laugh, man. Respect to the Bills. I only laugh because for Bills is just like are that team that I'm just not bothered by at all. I know they're
Nah, for
good,
sure.
but the Bengals have had their number. I'm not concerned about them. They're not the Chiefs, even though the Chiefs are 0-2. They're not the Chargers. So we can get away with it now. We need to figure out what's going on as we move forward. And shout out to the squad for being 2-0, man. I'm really happy that we're starting off the season this way. But of course, let's not waste any time about the big news, Phil. We'll get into stats and game balls and all of that. But
For sure.
Joe Burrow's out. You hear the news. We get the official news this earlier today that it's 3 months. What's your initial thought?
Yeah, definitely bummed about it. No one's ever excited for their starting quarterback to go down. But um, in real time as I'm there at the game and you see the injury, the thing that really led me to believe that it was serious and the reports kind of were I believed them right off the bat were simply just like when Joe went to get up and then he rolled back, that's when I kind of felt like it was serious. So, honestly, initial thoughts after confirming that he's going to be out 3 months, I'm honestly just as confident in this team as I was, going into this game with a healthy Joe Burrow. And, that's saying just as much as about Jake Brown and as I feel about the rest of this offense and the rest of this team. Like we didn't beat the table for Jamar and T to get paid for it to all depend on Joe Burrow. Like if you put the ball in those two guys' hands, good things are going to happen, as we saw throughout the game. You know, I fussed last week about being the Chase Brown show, and I was happy that we got to see the Jamar Chase show. 16 targets. That's what
Yeah,
I want to see. I want to see more than 8 for T, but he made the targets that he had count. And all of the big plays that I'm sure anyone remembers from the game were while Jake Browning was in the game. So I feel really good. He spread the ball around. The offense looked good. The offensive line played much better in the second half than they did the first half. So, I mean, I feel good, man, especially with the defense having another game where you have two takeaways. They seem to, even though they gave up over 400 yards, I mean, they made timely stops, they made plays when plays needed to be made. And for a team that gave up 400 yards, you can't really think of a play or at least a number of plays where it was like, damn, like that killed us, you know. So
Yeah.
I feel
Let me
good.
ask you real quick. So last
Mhm.
week you talked about the Chase Brown show. Talked about you want more targets. You gave a split, like a percentage. I can't remember what it
Yeah,
is, but when I look at
yeah.
yesterday's numbers, we
It's,
ran the ball
it was
17
a little high.
times. Yeah. So we ran the ball 17 times. Chase Brown had 16 rushes, 47 yards.
And Jake had the
And
sneak.
Jake Browning had the 1 yard quarterback sneak to win us the game at the end. However, we had 45 passing attempts, so 17 rushes compared to really 16 designed rushing attempts. I'm sorry, I don't know if I said that backwards. 45 passing attempts compared to the 16 rushing attempts. Is that what you want to see moving forward, or are you comfortable with that, especially
Now,
with number 6 behind center and not number 9?
right, for sure. And that's a great question. And that's not ideally what I want, but in this game where, in my opinion, the Jags corners were soft and were weak, like I'm really glad they started taking those shots there, because every time they were forced to defend, plays were to be made. It's just like for whatever reason, like they weren't taking those, they weren't testing them while Joe was in there, and I don't understand why. So I feel really good about the matchup, you know, going into next week with Minnesota with their corner. So again, I don't want to see that 75-25 or that 70-30 split. You know, I would like to see more of a 65-35, but sometimes the game just dictates that. And when you have a clear advantage like this, I think you take advantage of it. And I wouldn't be mad if they do this again next week, you know, unless they're just up and there's a reason to, you know, kind of lean on the run. So I prefer this, you know, than the week 1 game plan, if that answers the question, you know. So.
No, that makes sense, especially compared to what you were saying last week. But we'll definitely talk about the Vikings and what we're walking into with that game. However, as I'm looking at, well, before I even get into that, I just want to ask you your thoughts. You're still on the train that Zach Taylor is one of, if not the worst play caller in the NFL.
Ooh, man.
I just want to know, because I have some things to say about this.
Mm-hmm.
What did you see yesterday that bothered you in the sense of his play calling? I'm sure it has something to do with the shots or the lack thereof. You saw with their coverage, but go ahead.
And honestly, it was more so in the first half. Like I feel like before Joe went out, it was just really stagnant. It was really conservative. And for what reason, I don't know. Like I just don't. We should never be conservative with this offense. I don't care who you're going against. And again, I just the the plays that we have most success with, they weren't calling them. And the calls, just the timing of them, it just seemed like they were punting on third down, essentially. Like it just didn't even seem like they were trying. And for a team that's built the way that we're built, you want fast starts. You want to get on top. You want a team to feel like, man, we're down 2 scores and they got Joe and Jamar and Chase Brown. Like, how are we supposed to? Yeah. So that's the thing that's frustrating. It's just like kind of like in week 1 where it felt like we were playing not to lose the game. Like I kind of felt like we started off with that same kind of continuance, and it's just really frustrating when you have the talent that we have and then you watch these other teams that just scheme their guys open and just find creative ways to get them the ball. For a guy that we hired as an offensive mastermind to be in year, I forget what we said already, 6, 7, and there's nothing masterful at all.
Yeah,
I need more than a decent culture builder, you know.
No, that's facts. I don't think I've ever really seen too much where I've looked at a play or looked at a play that Zach drew up. I was like, oh my goodness, that was just incredible.
Yeah.
That was genius. I think a lot of our offense, and obviously having Joe back there is a big help, but the Joe Jamar connection is also a huge help. And a lot of what makes our offense work is when Joe's just in a zone and just putting the ball anywhere. We have these elite pass catchers, these elite weapons that are out there making plays. So I look at it that, and obviously you need that, right? I don't want to say it like that's such a minimal part of the game. Everybody would love to have that and take whatever they can. They'll take whoever off the street. to call plays if they have Jamar and T and Chase Brown and everything else, and Joe Burrow. However, you do see play call. You see McVay, you see O'Connell, even though they're struggling right now. You see them, oh, snap, that was a genius play. Ben Johnson did it at certain times. And they're getting creative. And shout out to our dog Lombardi down there in Chapel Hill.
Yes, sir.
Feeling myself a big listener to him when he had his podcast. But he always used to reference something about playing Canadian football. Canadian football is 3 downs. It's not 4 like the NFL. And this offense was built for 3-down football. You have to play like you have to get first down every 2 downs.
Yeah.
And we have the perfect offense for that. And I do not understand why we don't do that. Also, the run game, I don't know who the run game coordinator is. I don't know what's going on there. Extremely still. I knew everybody knew what run was coming because we ran the same type of design. And I will say, for full transparency, I did not go back and watch film on this, so I didn't break everything down that directly. But I don't even know how many times like people pulled, like guards or anything like that, pulled in some of these run plays. They're just very direct and zone reads, which I can understand. Joe's not a threat to really run the ball like that, so it's not like you have Lamar back there or somebody who can actually take off. So the threat of him actually pulling and running, okay, most defenses aren't going to go for that. But we got to do something a little bit more creative, some counters, something.
Yeah, motions, jet sweeps. I mean, just anything just to add a different layer, to move the eyes, to change the focus of the defense. It's just so vanilla.
Let me ask you, do you think that, and we'll talk about Jake taking over this team and you know how we generally feel about it, but do you think that Jake being at the helm, we know for at least until December? All right, let's just call it Christmas.
Yeah.
At least until Christmas. Do you think that changes up the game plan? Because I think we stopped being vanilla when Jake came in because we didn't have a choice.
And you know what?
And this shake things up.
And this
do we see more Brooks? Do we see more the whole nine? Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know that it now obviously, and I will give credit to Zach for that. He did make the proper adjustments in the second half. I don't know if you heard about reports of the offensive line kind of tipping their signals and Jacksonville knowing what they were doing. I think that played a lot into the run game being so weak in that first half, and it seemed like they were getting so many good jumps. But I don't think from a personnel standpoint, we'll see much of a change. I don't think there'll be more Brooks. I don't think there'll be less 12 or anything of that nature. But I do think, and this is the part where it's really weird to me. Whenever Jake Browning is in the game, it seems like he has, I won't say more, but better control of the offense. Like, for example, the Mitch Tinsley touchdown, the one-hander on the sideline, that was a run play that Jake checked out of and called Mitch Tinsley. Like, I don't like Zach's not calling Tinsley's number there. I don't think like he's just not giving him that opportunity. I mean, Tinsley,
and that makes sense, right? With their connection that they had in preseason.
Yeah, as a backup in that number 2 role. That's his Jamar. And that was the only target Tinsley had of the game. I think he was only maybe in on 6 pass plays. So, that was all Jake. I don't know if it was the bomb. The play that led on to the game-winning drive to Yoshi. That play where he tested Travis Hunter and got the defensive pass interference. That was another call by Jake. And it just doesn't seem like Joe has that. It's weird to say Joe doesn't have the confidence to do that, but it seems like whatever Zach calls, Joe's just going with it. Like so many times, we talked about Joe's sitting in the huddle waiting for the call, and the call is coming in late. Like just do your thing, man. Just take control of this offense. Everybody looks at you as the leader. Everybody looks at you as that guy. That's why the city is sad right now because you're hurt. But like, I feel really great about this offense and what it can do with Jake Brown. We were a game away from the playoffs the last time he had to step into extensive duty. He led us to a 9-8 record. So now in week 2, going into week 3, having more time to prepare, being more comfortable with these weapons, just coming into a game under those situations, winning the opener. Like we were close to going open 0-2 and opening orange. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and to come down with a deficit and to throw 3 picks in 3 quarters and just put it out of your mind and keep coming in there slinging. I love how aggressive he is. Yes, he's going to turn it over, but when you have our offense and we can score, we can have those one play drives. Like, let's get it, man. I'm ready to rock. You know, do I wish Joe was fine? Yes, but like, I think Jake Browning deserves a little more respect and support than what he's getting because everybody's sad about Joe. Like, as a fan base, yeah, we know the team is going to rally around Jake. You know, they know what he can do. They've seen it firsthand. But fans got to do it too, man. I saw there was people in my section that left at halftime, bro. Like, it was
Halftime's
people that,
crazy.
yeah, they were
I
like,
think
enjoy
people
the
left,
game.
People definitely left
After that third
late
pick
in the
with the
fourth
3
quarter.
minutes
Yeah,
left.
after that
Yeah.
third pick, yeah, people definitely left there, but I wasn't going.
And I just don't get it, man. Like, anything is possible, man. We see it each and every week. You know, it may not be our game, but you see it. It happens. The Monday night game that just ended, like, that was a crazy finish. Like, those things happen.
Very similar to our finish. I think fans, unless you're a Bengal fan, I don't know. I'm assuming everybody listening to this is a Bengal fan. I know we have a few that aren't, but just that disappointment in another injury with Joe. Like, seeing Joe getting, you see him walk off and then you see the tent and you don't really know what's going on. All right, Brown is coming in, but we don't know for sure if Joe's out. And then Joe walking to the locker room and then having to be helped to the locker room. It's like, all right, this is something serious. And of course, that's right before halftime. We come out in the second half. I think when you wait 7-8 months for the season and you have high hopes and you look at how the season ended last year and you look at how Joe was playing and you look at its healthy training camp and you look at the 1-0 start, albeit ugly. It feels like all of that was just wrapped away in one moment of one play. And I don't know if Bengals fans are necessarily equipped with dealing with that right now because we have such high hopes and we've been to a Super Bowl and we want to get back there. We know what it's like and we felt that high before. So I don't excuse the fans leaving, but I would say part of them was just like, oh, I can't do this again. It's like a bad relationship almost. But you are 100% right. Regardless of all that, I don't want to give anybody an out for that. We need to rally around the team. We need to rally around Jake. We can't look at it as our season over because it's over because I am excited. And Jake Browning in 2023 when Joe got hurt. So Joe got hurt in the Baltimore game like a week before Thanksgiving. Everybody remembers it. That's when the wrist injury happened. Jake came in and threw 14 pass attempts, and okay, cool. He had a 4-4 record as a starter that season. Lost to Pittsburgh the following week. Beat Jacksonville in overtime. Threw for 354 and 1 touchdown that game. Just want to make sure I point that out. The next week, beat Indianapolis 34-14. 275, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Week after that, beat Minnesota, ironically, in overtime. So 2 overtime wins. 324 yards, 2 tubs, 1 pick. Now, they do have the nasty game in December, 2 days before Christmas. I drove from Cincinnati today to Pittsburgh for this game. Lost 34-11. Outside of that long pass play to T, it was a very forgettable game. My first visit to Heinz Field or whatever they call it, Three Rivers, whatever the case is. And then, of course,
Acrisure.
Kansas City, which I want to point out, if anybody remembers that Kansas City game, that was in week 17. That was a 25-17 game. That wasn't a blowout. Was a pretty good game. Yeah, 1-score game at Kansas City. And then, of course, we end the season with a win against Cleveland that year. So 4-4, very serviceable. And I think now is the time. And this goes back to what we were just talking about at the beginning. This is the trust in Zach Taylor's play calling and building a game plan. Because if I'm the coaching staff right now, if I'm Zach Taylor, the first thing I'm doing is telling all the offensive coaches, quarterback coach, OC, everybody that has anything to do with the offense, we're turning Jake Browning into Trent Dilfer. We need to find out all the things that Jake Browning does very well, and we need to make sure he understands don't lose the game. You ain't got to win it for us, just don't lose it for us. You don't have to go out there and take all these risks. Jake is going to throw picks. That's what he does. He only, out of those 8 starts that he had, I think he only had 2, maybe 3 games without interception. That's part of his greatness. Like, it's part of finding them, because for every one-handed Mitchell Tinsley catch, for every shot that he took the tee, there's going to be a pick in there. And some of them are very predictable. That's what's frustrating because you see certain angles in my seat. And it's like, oh, they're baiting you into that throw, Jake.
Oh, yeah.
But focus on what he does well. Build a game plan around that. Let him take some shots. Let him have some freedom. But also make sure he understands exactly what's going on. Down, distance, situation, game plan. It's okay to live another possession. You know what I'm saying? We got a great punter. Defense has been showing up enough to where we're in the games at the end, and that's all we can ask for. So I feel good about Jake. The season's not over. It's not. I see people talking about, well, I won't be back at the game. Like, that's crazy. Like, we'll be okay. Yeah, we'll be okay. As far as stats go, because I do want to mention this, and just going back to Joe, and like I said, I don't know why he didn't take more control, like you mentioned. But we do have Joe that went 7 for 13, 76 yards and 1 touchdown. Was sacked twice for a total of 8 yards, 97 QBR. Jake was 21 for 32, 241 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and had 1 sack. Trevor Lawrence threw for 271 yards, and I think Jacksonville, you said 400 yards total, I believe they had.
Yeah, they threw for 271, and they ran for, I think, like 140 or something like that. So,
we got to clean that up for sure. Definitely got to clean that up. We had 350. This is the second week in a row where the team had a much higher time of possession. Jacksonville had the ball for 33 minutes and 11 seconds. We had it for 26:49. That's definitely something we need to clean up. And holding on to the ball is not enough. We need to make sure we're scoring touchdowns on those drives. As far as just the atmosphere, I know we talked about people leaving, but outside of that, how did it feel being back in Paycor, man? How did it feel knowing that we got another Bengals season in front of us?
Man, it felt great. I'll be honest. And, just pulling off coming downtown and seeing the orange sea, like it was just beautiful, man. I love the opening orange. It's great. I hate to see people that show up in black or wear something completely unrelated. Like what are you doing, man? I even got on you.
Talking about me, y'all.
Yeah. You had a plain white tee on, man. Shame on you. But
I had an orange Bengals hat.
Yeah.
And let me explain why, just so people know. Because I always participate. Like, Stripe the Jungle, I'm with it, man. I'm with it. I'm not going to be that guy. I wore a plain white tee on purpose. One, Phil will tell you, especially when it comes to the Reds. I just seem to have a sports jinx about myself. Certain things just don't work out. I only have one piece, which is crazy to think of. I have a lot of Bengals gear. Only one of them is orange, and it's my orange Joe Burrow Shiesty jersey.
Okay.
I made a custom jersey with number 9. Instead of putting Burrow on the back, I put Shiesty. It's in orange. I've worn it twice at games. Both of those games we've lost. And I did not want to kind of bring that there. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to kind of flip the script a little bit. I'm going to wear a white tee. Ended up getting Donato's at halftime. Took a bite of the pizza, folded up. Pizza sauce got all over the plain white tee. Immediately went to the pro shop and got a white shirt with the Bengals B. I still didn't get orange. I still wanted to see what happened. And sure enough, we came out with one. So, yeah, that's why I did it. But shame on me. Next year, I'll wear orange. Next year. Because I will say, it was impressive.
Yeah,
to see the whole stadium flooded in orange. Tailgates were flooded with orange. People walking down the street. Like, nothing like that home opener. We talk about opening day. If you know anything about Cincinnati and the Reds, opening day is an event. But, man, that Bengals home opener is also one.
It rivals it for sure.
Yeah, no matter where I live, man, I'm always coming back for the home opener.
Definitely, man. Energy was electric. I added 2 additional seats this year, 9 rows closer. So I was in my same section 126 down to row 23. And right before the game started, somebody came up from row 11 and said, "Hey, you can take our seats in row 11 if we can sit in y'all seats next to our friends." So we were down in row 11, and I still don't think Shaq is over. She really enjoyed being that close to the action. So it was super dope, and a good way to start the season, man. And I'm a little frustrated that we got to go on the road 2 weeks in a row before we get another home game. But I'm definitely looking forward to being back in Paycor again. And next time we'll be back is Stripe the Jungle. So yeah, we gonna keep the festivities rolling for sure.
Yeah, I'm definitely down for that. I know we talked about obviously Jake and Joe and the whole nine, but let's get a little bit into some of these other offensive players. You mentioned
Hmm.
Jamar, 16 targets, 14 catches, 165 yards, one touchdown.
Hmm.
We got T with 8 targets, only 3 receptions, but 56 yards and one tub. Gesicki, 3 catches for 18 yards. Noah Fant, 3 for 28. Tinsley, 1 for 13 and a touchdown. Yoshi, with 5 targets, only one catch, 12
Hmm.
yards. Second year in a row, Yoshi kind of getting off to a slow start. Not having the season that we thought, but hey, there are a lot of things going on. Just not enough wealth to really kind of spread out. And then we
Hmm.
also have True Sample with one catch for 7 yards. Chase Brown also 2 catches, 18 yards on top of the rushing stats that I said earlier. What did you think about? And I know we got into it, but what's your minimum target for Jamar at this point?
Yeah,
Jamar T, if you go into a game, what's the minimum that we should be seeing them get targets for?
definitely. For me, Jamar should never see single digit targets. Like it should always be 10 plus. I like him getting 16 targets. Um, 8 will probably be my floor for T. So him getting the 8 this game, like you say, he only had the 3 catches. I think he maybe had a couple other opportunities, but I would love to see both of them get double digit targets. But we got a lot of weapons, especially with the addition of Fant. How effective Chase Brown is in the run game. You talked about wanting to involve Yoshi, but the addition of Fant just puts us in so much more 12 personnel. So I think that's cutting into Yoshi snaps a bit there, but definitely I don't ever want to see a game with Jamar having single digit targets. So him getting 16, I love it.
Would you say
Um
the same for T? Would you say at least 10 targets minimum?
I think 8 would be the floor, but 10 would be nice. But I think T should be seeing 2 targets a quarter. Like I don't think that's like
I would like to see
they're
them combine 25 targets.
yes,
In a
sign me up.
perfect world.
Sign me up.
Realistically, it might be between 22, might be close
Yeah,
to that 22 number. But if we can get 25 targets a
yeah.
game,
If
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 you're
if
throwing the
we're
ball
throwing the
40
ball
times,
45 times, yeah,
yeah,
25 should be.
I think that's more than enough.
Yeah.
And I think that's more than enough to kind of spread around to other guys like Fant, Gesicki, and
Hmm.
still keep things going. But it doesn't make sense to, yeah, you want to keep everybody honest, but when you have Jamar Chase, which Phil says is the greatest wide receiver of all time,
Yes,
you have to make sure
sir.
you keep him the ball. So it just makes
Absolutely.
more sense, and I'm hoping that Zach takes heed to that. On the defensive side of the ball, once again, timely interceptions. Dax Hill had a beautiful interception, as well as Jordan Battle.
Hmm.
Uh, 9 total tackles for Dax Hill. Nine
He
total
was
tackles for
man.
Geno
He was
Stone.
everywhere.
Yeah, 8 for Logan Wilson. Demetrius Knight, once again, he had 5 total tackles, but it seemed like he was there in timely stuff in
Yeah.
the run. Look at pass defended. We had Dax Hill with 1, Jordan Battle with 1, Trey Hendrickson with 1, and then Logan Wilson, Cam Taylor Britt with 2, and DJ Turner with 2. I thought we had a really good game from the secondary.
Yes.
Um, I think that we took advantage of some drops by people that don't normally drop balls.
Hmm.
Obviously, it was a shaky start starting off with that opening touchdown drive to uh, De'Ami Brown. It's De'Ami or Diami? I think it's De'Ami.
I think it's
De'Ami Brown.
Diami. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, to De'Ami Brown. I remember he was in Washington last year,
Hmm.
and
From North
pass rush
Carolina.
was a little concerning. Obviously, Shamar Stewart. We
Very,
didn't talk
very
about him. Yeah,
concerning.
yeah, very
Yeah.
concerning. Trey ended up with the sack. That came late in the game, which he always seals one off. But wasn't too pleased about that. Wasn't necessarily pleased with some of the, I guess, sweeps and outside rushes that ETN was able to get off. I
Yeah.
think our interior rush is okay, but not the best. I don't know how many times I heard Slayton's name. I know I heard Chris Jenkins' name a few times.
Hmm.
Just something I want to be a little bit more consistent with, a little bit more dog when it comes to our defensive alignment, a little bit
Hmm.
more nasty when it comes to them. Shamar Stewart, he went down. I don't know if he's been that impact player to the point where we are going to miss it. I think it's plug and play right now, but he is showing a lot of great promise,
Hmm.
and I'm enjoying what I'm seeing from him out there. And we do need him back. We need him back soon if
Oh,
we
for
want to
sure.
keep this thing rolling. But I'm kind of defense definitely has room for improvement, but
Hmm.
they seem to have improved from last season,
Yeah.
which
Oh,
seems to be a
without a doubt.
consistent thing. And going back to once again, we talked about this. when we look at Lou's run and we look at that Super Bowl year, a lot of that was stopping the bleeding inside the red zone and making sure you get your hands on the ball for turnovers. We've been doing that these first couple games. Let's see what it looks like once we go or have the game where that isn't the case. Maybe there's no turnovers, 0-0. How we gonna look then? But cross that bridge when we get there. Any thoughts on the defense or any special words that you want to have for it?
Yeah, I mean, big shout out to Jordan Battle. I mean, I think he's been really consistent through 2 games, back-to-back games with interceptions. You'd love to see that from him, definitely taking advantage of the opportunities that he's getting. I definitely thought he should have played a lot more last year, given what he showed, his early on. And I gotta shout out Cam Taylor-Britt, man. I thought he had probably his best game in the past 10 maybe. I thought he was really, really solid yesterday. Tackling, covering, just an all-around good game for him. And I hope he's watching that film right now and reminding himself that that he can be good, that he can be dependable. So that was good to see. You already talked about Dax. I know I've given Trey some strife about his sacks not being meaningful. So to have that late sack to seal the game, very clutch. Even though we only had 11 pressures the whole game, that one sack that we had came at the perfect time. But definitely would like to see a little bit more overall from the defense. I think those 4 guys that I named were really the brightest spots for us. I thought Knight was really solid tackling and pretty good in coverage. He just didn't seem to be. Yeah, I don't know if they were going away from him or what it was. He just didn't seem to be as impactful this game. But you could definitely see a lot of that Bucky Irvin-esque, type of runs that Liam Cohen had with Tampa last year and still here with ETN. And we definitely had some troubles, there. Our defensive line, I thought, missed too many tackles, kind of at that point of attack. So hope to see that get cleaned up a little bit. And I don't know. Maybe we'll see a lot of run from Minnesota this week with them having to start Wentz. And they've kind of got the 2 running backs there. So it'll be interesting. But I was overall impressed with the defense, despite them giving up the 400 yards. They were very opportunistic and timely, as far as their stop. So I think they have a lot to do with us being 2-0 right now.
No, 100%. Yeah, especially that first game, even this one. Yeah, offense got to convert, but we put them in positions and continuously give them that chance to go ahead and get that done. Real quick, I want to talk about special teams just real quick because Evan McPherson, 4 for 4 on extra points, 1 for 1 on field goal attempts. But what I really found was impressive, but this is going to be a two-way thing because I want to get your thoughts on this. So Samaje Perine has 6 kick returns for 154 yards.
I'm so glad you brought this up.
Which is obviously very, very impressive. 25.7 yards return, long of 37. However, he also had 20 offensive snaps to Taj Brooks 0. No rushing attempts. In there as a pass blocker. You look at this as maybe a Taj Brooks isn't there on the pass blocking side of things, but does that concern you that he has got 0 offensive snaps, 0 snaps at all in the game compared to Perine's 20? I just think he's more versatile to where if you're going to give Perine 20, why can't you get 10 and 10?
I think it was more.
What do you think?
I honestly think it was more of a comfort and familiarity thing, especially when you consider we threw the ball 45 times. I think they just trust Perine that much in pass protection. I don't think it's really a knock on Brooks. I just don't think the game necessarily went the way that they wanted to be able to kind of incorporate him. I think if we maybe had a bit more of a lead and leaned on the run a little bit more. I mean, when you have that 75-ish% pass rate to only 25 runs, I feel like you're going to see Brooks in the game less in those type situations. But I think 20-0 is kind of interesting, but I think it was more so just like we're already dealing with Joe being out. Like, maybe we're calling some stuff that we didn't have in the initial plan that we're calling back to 2023, and running some of those plays that Taj maybe just doesn't know or just isn't familiar with or didn't have the reps. So I wouldn't
Fair.
read
I like
too much into it, but maybe I would definitely say it's something to monitor because you want to see Brooks involved more for sure.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. That's a great reason. That talks him off the ledge a little bit. When it comes to what was I just about to mention? Oh, I wanted to mention Amarius Mims because he had an ankle. He
Same
came into the
ankle.
game with an ankle issue.
Mm-hmm.
Shortly after Joe went out, he went to the locker room on his own. Didn't need to get help. When he came back in the game, Cody Ford was in the game, and then I think that was one of the plays that might have been the sack that
Yep.
Jake Brown
I
took.
think it
Cody
was.
in the game. Yeah, he got cooked. There was some play where I saw it with my own too. Cody got cooked. So that's just something to keep an eye on, just making sure we keep our guys healthy. But as we move on and move forward into did you have anything else to say about the game itself?
The
About
only
game
thing
balls?
I was gonna say, the only other thing that I wanted to touch on, and we kind of talked about it in the league, was just how resilient the team was. Seeing QB1 go down, which Ted Karras called him the best player in football. Seeing him go down that early in the game and still being able to rally, being able to overcome the 3 interceptions, just all of those things, man. I just think it says a lot about this team, especially to be so young. Like, this isn't the same veteran-led team that we've had in the years past, in the past several years. So, you know, definitely, that was encouraging to see. And yeah, I mean, that would be the only other thing that I would add before we, move into the next topic. Oh, did you want to do game balls? You said.
Yeah, game ball. Offense. So you got
I think without a doubt it goes to Jamar Chase. Yeah, big Uno, man. It could have had an even bigger game, honestly. A broken tackle here or there, maybe just one little things here and there that may have set up a little bit better. And as crazy as the Mitch Tinsley touchdown was, the T touchdown may have been my favorite of the day. But
and the celebration. I'm with it.
oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. But Jamar definitely gets my game ball on offense. But hats off to Jake coming in and performing the way he did for sure. But definitely giving my game ball to the Jamar on the offensive side.
Yeah, shout out to Jake. Big shout out to Jake for real, man. Because once again, had no business winning that game. Hard to give a game ball to somebody with 3 picks. However,
Facts.
want to give you a shout out. It is Jamar. That's a pretty much a no brainer. That's what superstars do. That's why he's the best wide receiver in the league.
Mm-hmm.
As Phil would say, the best wide receiver to ever play the game of football.
Yes, sir.
It's crazy that he believes Jerry Rice didn't play football, but it's all good.
Hey, somebody got to lead the charge, man. I'm gonna do it.
That's fair. Hey, that's fair, man. You ahead of it. You ain't wrong. You just way ahead of it. About 15 years, people are gonna be like, and we can look
he was
back
on
and
the sun.
Phil was saying this back in 2024. So it's all good. Defensive side of the ball. You got anybody
Defensive, man, I gotta go to Trey, just sealing the deal, getting that sack late. And just him going out there and performing at this level, back-to-back games with sacks to start the season, keeping that pace as far as how many sacks he's had over the past 2 seasons. And I just overall thought he had a really clean game. He didn't miss any tackles, played 50 plus snaps. So I gotta go with Trey, even though I gave big props to CTB this past game. I definitely gotta go with Trey, closing it out and doing what you want your $30 million player to do.
I'm gonna give it to the guy that we missed last year, and it's really good to have him back out there. Dax Hill.
Yes, sir.
Dax Hill had an incredible game. He had 1 interception, as I mentioned, pass deflection, 9 solo tackles. So all of his tackles were solo. None of them were assists. He had 1 tackle for loss. Seems to be in his right places. Can move them all over. Ask him to do anything. And especially with no pass rush, that kind of made it even more impressive.
Oh yeah.
Those type of plays. Part of those 9 tackles, now I will say, is us not being able to keep the run inside. ETN did break some, and you don't want our secondaries.
A corner leading in tackles is crazy.
Yeah, you don't want your corner leading the game in tackles. It's not good, but shout out to him for actually being there, making sure everything was taken care of, and us sealing this win. So yeah, shout out to the squad for this win. Felt good to have it because we've just, as Cincinnati fans, we've just seen those ending losses so many times. Which, as I stated earlier, that's why a lot of people were probably leaving the stadium because they didn't have the time or the emotional capacity to really take that. But here we are with the win. Have some more faith, Bengals fans. We're going to be okay. One more thing before we start talking about the Vikings. Give a quick preview on that. Joe's out 12 weeks. If he does come back, obviously that depends on how the season goes because looking at week 17, week 18, if we're not in contention or playing well, they're not going to bring him back for 2 weeks in the playoffs. Right? So he could be potentially out for the season. I don't believe that's the case because I think we're definitely going to be in the playoffs. But with that being said, how high are your expectations? Give it a percentage, 0 to 100. How high are your expectations that Jake is going to lead us to the playoffs this season?
Oh, I 100% think this is still a playoff team, Joe or not. 100% think this is still a playoff team. Does that mean that we sneak in? Maybe, but I definitely think that this is a playoff team, especially considering, again, having that 2-0 start. Like that year that we just missed it, like we started off 0-2. So like we're already ahead of the, in my opinion, ahead of things there. I feel really good about the week 3 and 4 matchup. Weeks 5 and 6 I already was kind of, iffy on. Jake has played Pittsburgh well in the past. I still don't know how I feel about Pittsburgh. The Jets don't scare me. The Bears don't scare me. I feel really good about potentially still going into the bye week at 8-2. So if we go into the bye at 8-2, 7-3, even 6-4, it's gonna be hard to convince me that this isn't a playoff team, and unless God forbid something else happens and we lose some other major player, this is 100% still a playoff team for me. So I have no doubt, and hopefully some of my positive vibes can go out to the rest of the fans and anyone listening to this, because like I said, man, we got to rally around this team because it's a good team. And what you gonna do? What you gonna do? Not believe? Go watch other teams? You might as well rally around this team.
That's what I'm saying, man. That's all you can really do. So I'm good with it. I'm perfectly fine. We're gonna be A-OK. Let's go ahead and talk about the Vikings. We go visit Minneapolis on Sunday, second road game of the season. Obviously, clash of the teammates. Wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. Pun on that intended. Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. Both teams without their starting quarterbacks. Joe Burrow will not be playing, as mentioned ad nauseum. And also J.J. McCarthy is out with an ankle injury. Now, J.J. McCarthy has not looked good this season. However, in week 1, he did help lead his team to a victory. You know what? Who is the Vikings backup?
Carson Wentz.
Carson Wentz is the starter against us. That alone makes me think that we should be okay with having this victory wrapped up. But I do want to say, in all seriousness, and we mentioned this in week 1, Brian Flores ain't no game. He's nothing. He's not to be played with. He is a defensive guru. Phil, you sent me something maybe last week that just said it was a play that the Vikings ran. Maybe I think we talked about this. Like Brian Flores is just a sicko. The way he disguises things and the way he makes defenses look and bails out the last minute and kind of forces your hand as an offense should go without saying. Now I will say they're 1-1 right now. They did beat what looks like after 2 weeks a mediocre, maybe bad Chicago team. It was 27-24.
Sure.
Okay, 27-24. They did give up 317 yards to that Chicago team. Then they lost 22-6 against the Falcons.
And awful.
Did not look good at all. Gave up 326 total yards. I will say in both games they did not give up over 200 yards passing. But however, they did give up over 200 yards rushing on the ground against the Falcons. One turnover. Actually, no, they have more than that. I think they lead the league in forced fumbles and fumble recovery. I think 3 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries. they're going to get their hand on the ball.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be looking at film of Jake Browning, looking at the areas where he wants to take risks, and they're going to game plan that into what they're doing. I'm not concerned about the offense. The offense does not look good for Minnesota. They obviously have weapons, but we'll see what Carson Wentz does. But going into this game, what are some of the keys that you think help us walk away with the victory?
I
Where's your confidence level for this game too?
I feel really good about this game. Yeah, I honestly feel better about this game than I felt about the Jags game. I feel like the Jags game felt kind of like a little trap game, honestly. The home opener, the opening orange, the down talk on Lawrence, the Bengals offense having to rebound. Like, it was just a lot of things that made me feel like this past week could have been a trap game. And I don't really care that we're on the road. I don't care how loud it is in Minnesota. Michael Penix went in there and led his team to a 22-6 win. So I feel good. Browning is battle tested. We've got tons of weapons, and Minnesota's secondary, to me, I don't care how great of a schemer Brian Flores is. I just think we have that much of an advantage, and hopefully they take advantage of that. So make them defend, force them. They should be playing loose. People already feel like our season is over. So I feel really good about that. The team kind of using that as motivation, using that to inspire them. And hopefully they do that and they go in with that game plan.
And I want to say, this team, the Bengals team, they have all the confidence in the world right now. I don't think anybody in the locker room feels like they're out of it by any means or down, which would be, it's different if it's week 8 and you're 3-5, 4-4, but off to a 2-0 start, knowing what Jake can do. I think that says a lot, and they're very confident. I think that spills over into this game. This has nothing to do with nothing. It just makes me think about it. So if anybody's watched Justin Jefferson, he's not the only one. A lot of receivers have been doing this for a while. We graduated from Michael Crabtree train to where these dudes were wearing full out, like, bust down, neck was diamond shining, Cubans, the whole nine. At least half a ticket on some of these dudes' necks during the game. Phil, if you were playing in the NFL, are you getting your Talib on? Like, I feel like I don't know. There might be a code within the fraternity of football players of, hey, bro, you see me with my jewelry, don't do no lame stuff. But there's also that dog who's better than me that if you're gonna put food on the plate, then I'm gonna eat.
Yeah, absolutely.
DP. That's just kind of the dude I am. Like, you got your jewelry on, I'm taking it. Not even taking it, bro. Like, this is football. What you doing wearing all this jewelry out here for? It's one of those things.
Exactly.
Like, I kind of want to hit it off. I want to hit you so hard that your diamonds come flashing. But worst case scenario, you start talking and yapping in my ear, I might snatch a chain. What do you think about this? Would you wear all that jewelry on the field?
No, not at all. I would not. I would not. I'm old school, man. I don't. If you want to look fly, you want to look nice, cool. You better, but like, your looking nice better be like colored Under Armour or wristbands or gloves. Like, you putting jewelry on, I take that as a sign of disrespect. Like, I'm gonna test your insurance on your jewelry, whether that's me hitting it off you, whether it's going to keep to leave. Like, you said there may be a code. Nah, this generation doesn't have any codes, at least from what I've witnessed. And when you out there on the field as a competitor, sometimes you just see red. And if I snatch your chain, I snatch your chain. It's insane to me. And I wish there was a Vontaze Burfict out there in today's game, out there bullying
Eli
cats
Apple
and knocking chains off.
Chain.
Oh yeah, I wish Talib was still out there snatching chains.
Shout out to Talib, man. One of the all-time interviews after that happened. I don't know, first and second time. I remember that reporter asking, what do you do? Nothing. Cry to the ref. Shout out to them because they cool now, man. I think somebody's son plays for the other teams, like flag team or something, if I'm not mistaken. That relationship has been repaired, so that's always good to see. But for the entertainment value, yeah, man, you snatched my chain, bro. That's up forever.
For sure.
Yeah, forever.
For sure.
But go ahead.
I was gonna say, the only other thing I want to speak on, unless we're still talking preview Vikings, that sort of
Yeah,
thing.
go. No, I don't really
Um,
have anything to say, but I feel confident about the Minnesota game. Um, Obviously, there's going to be some ups and downs with that crowd. I want to give respect to the, to their fan base, and it is going to
mhm,
be jumping in there. But okay, a few hiccups here and there. As long as Jake, as I said earlier, let's play to his strengths.
mhm,
Don't go out there and win it, bro. You don't have to be Joe. You don't have to throw for 350 and 4 tubs. It'd be nice
yeah,
if you did, but I want you to do it in a controlled setting. I want you to do it. If you do see a shot, take it. I
mhm,
don't think we should put the training wheels and handcuffs on Jake. I think he's earned that much.
mhm,
But you don't have to be the hero. You don't have to make the 3rd and 13 play,
yep,
if it's not there. Like, let it go. Like, we can go,
yep,
we can come back on the next drive and trust our defense. So as long as we do that, I do feel good about it. I feel good about us starting 3-0. And then, of course, we go to Mile High on Monday night and then back in the jungle against Detroit. So it's going to be an interesting 2-week stretch
mhm,
as we get Jake these first 2 starts. But I definitely feel good about where we are. And as I mentioned, Minnesota's offense hasn't been anything to write home about. As long as we can control the run, because I'm sure with Carson Wentz being there, with Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason, and kind of being, most of their offense this season, I'm sure they're going to rely on that run. I can't remember if we talked about the Vikings offensive line in our O-line rankings or not. Either way, maybe I'm just thinking about Dalton Risner, the fact that he
mhm,
used to play for him. Either
mhm,
way, control the runs or stop the run on defense. Jake Brown and play within yourself. Playmakers, go do what you do. It's about us, not them. I'm a big
mhm.
believer in that. And I do think I feel I shouldn't feel. I didn't even feel bad when it happened to Joe. Obviously, I felt bad that he
Yeah,
was out. Um, but I should feel a
I
lot
feel like I'm
worse.
conditioned. Like it happens every other year at this point. Like I'm prepared for Joe to be hurt.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I've seen this
But
before.
what were you gonna say? You say you had one
But
more thing.
what I was gonna say is, man, like I'm just really tired of the narrative about the offensive line and fans wanting to point the fingers. Like we love Orlando Brown, we love Amarius Mims, we love the Fairchild, pick, and for him to be the right guard. We love Ted Karras. He's on his second, third contract with us, and everybody, myself included, wanted Dalton Risner. So, like, let's not get down on this offensive line. There were 3 sacks. They allowed 2 of them. One of Joe's sacks was on him. Like, let's just be honest. He's notoriously known for holding on the ball too long. The issue. The problem is the problem. Like, if you have a leaky faucet, use a different faucet. You know what I mean? If you got a bathroom that doesn't work, use the other bathroom. Like, it's what the problem is. Like,
Phil
so
pulling out his Jalen Hurts quotes.
it's just wild to me that Jake Browning comes in, throws the ball 3 times more as Joe and takes 1 sack. He's got a higher average depth of target. He's got a higher yard per attempt. So it's not like we're just running quick game, but he's getting the ball out of his hand. He's not trying to play hero ball. He's not trying to be Superman. And I love Joe. We talk about how well he processes things and how smart he is and cerebral he is. Well, protect yourself, man. That's what made Peyton and Brady so great. Like they didn't take sacks. Those dudes could not move. So if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. Now, I'm not saying go Andy Dalton and throw the ball out of bounds on 4th down versus taking a sack, but like get rid of the ball, man. So I can't put that on the offensive line. I can't point the fingers there. 15 pressures on 45 dropbacks. Like I can live with that, man. Like it's a lot of good defenders in the league. It's a lot of good D coordinators. Like so we see quarterbacks every game, every week running around for their life. So, and that's even from the best offensive lines. Like nobody's just back there chilling as a quarterback. It just doesn't happen. So I just want fans to flush that narrative and like let's just call it how we see it, man. This team is still good. And I still got Super Bowl aspirations with this offensive line as constructed.
Shout out to the 1990 Giants. They won with a backup. And Hosteller. Shout out to Paycor. Hey, listen, I'm still there too. I'm not bummed out. Let's go out there and play the games. We have way too much around Jake for this not to be successful. Let's just make sure our coaching is up to par. Coaches really need to coach. We'll see what happens. I feel good about Minnesota. I feel good going into it. And that is pretty much it for right now. Phil, anything else before we get out of here?
No, that's all I got, man. I'm looking forward to going on the road and hopefully moving to 3-0. It just sounds good. I'm excited we even got the opportunity to get 3-0.
All right, then. That'll do it. We will be back next week talking about another victory Monday with the Bengals victory in Minnesota. We don't know the score yet, of course, but we do have faith that it'll be done. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, tell a friend, pass this along to a Bengals fan. Leave a comment on our YouTube page. Leave a comment, give a review, everything else. Help this channel grow. We look forward to talking about the Bengals with you all season and even beyond that. With that being said, never forget, who they?
Who they?